Imagine this: a dimly lit chamber in the heart of Rome, where the air hangs heavy with the scent of incense and fear. A young boy, no more than 12, is strapped to a cold stone table. His screams echo off the walls as a surgeon's blade descends, severing not just flesh, but his very future. This isn't a nightmare, it's the brutal reality of becoming a male concubine in the Roman Empire. A life stripped of humanity, twisted into an object of desire for the powerful. If stories like this grip your soul and make you question the darkness of history, hit that like button, subscribe for more dives into the abyss, and comment below. Where are you watching from? Tonight, we descend into the forgotten horrors of these lost souls, where empire's glory hid unspeakable pain. In the sprawling shadow of the Colosseum and the marble forums, Rome wasn't just a city of gods and conquerors. It was a machine fueled by slavery, devouring millions from conquered lands. Among them, the most vulnerable, boys ripped from their homes in Gaul, Greece, or the distant edges of the empire. These weren't warriors or laborers, they were chosen for their youth, their delicate features, their unbroken spirits. Emperors and senators alike kept them as concubines, male concubines, a term whispered in opulent villas but screamed in the silence of the night. To the Romans, sexuality was power. The dominant citizen could take what he wanted from those beneath him: slaves, foreigners, the weak. But for these boys, it meant a lifetime of violation, their bodies commodified, their souls erased. Picture the journey beginning in the dust-choked aftermath of battle. Roman legions sweep through a village like locusts, leaving flames and orphans in their wake. A boy, let's call him Aurelius, though his true name is lost to the winds, huddles with his family, only to watch his parents slain or chained. He's too young for the mines, too frail for the fields. Instead, traders eye him greedily, knowing his fair skin and wide eyes will fetch a fortune in Rome's markets. Chained in a caravan, he endures weeks of starvation, beatings, and the leering gazes of guards who sample the merchandise. Whispers among the captives speak of worse fates: the imperial court, where boys become playthings for gods on earth. Aurelius clings to memories of freedom, but the empire's grip tightens, pulling him toward a destiny darker than death. As the caravan crests the hills overlooking Rome, the city's grandeur mocks his despair. Temples gleam under the sun, aqueducts arch like triumphant arms, but beneath lies the underbelly, the slave auctions where human lives are bartered like cattle. Aurelius is scrubbed, oiled, his hair curled to accentuate his boyish allure. He's paraded naked on a platform, poked and prodded by bidders who discuss his potential with clinical detachment. A wealthy senator wins the bid, his eyes burning with hunger. In that moment, Aurelius ceases to be a person. He's property, a vessel for pleasure. The crowd cheers as coins exchange hands, oblivious to the boy's silent tears. This is Rome's hypocrisy. A republic of laws that protected citizens but condemned the conquered to eternal subjugation. And for male concubines, the horror has only just begun. Transported in a curtain litter through Rome's bustling streets, Aurelius glimpses the world he'll never join. Merchants haggling, patricians in togas debating philosophy, the roar of the Circus Maximus in the distance. But his path leads to a lavish villa on the Palatine Hill, where marble columns hide chambers of depravity. The senator's household greets him with indifference. Slaves know better than to pity newcomers. He's handed to the villicus, the overseer, who begins the refinement process. Baths scented with myrrh wash away the grime of travel, but not the stains on his soul. His body is waxed, perfumed, dressed in silken tunics that emphasize his youth. Lessons follow: how to play the lyre, recite poetry, move with graceful submission. It's not just sex they demand, it's adoration, a performance of love from a broken heart. Nights blur into days of isolation. Aurelius is confined to the cubiculum, a small room adorned with frescoes of mythical lovers, Zeus and Ganymede, a cruel foreshadowing. Older concubines, their eyes hollow, whisper warnings: please him or suffer. Stories circulate of emperors like Tiberius, who retreated to Capri with hordes of young boys he called his minnows, forcing them into grotesque acts amid pools and grottos. Tiberius's villa became a labyrinth of terror, where refusal meant torture or death. Aurelius shudders, recalling tales from the caravan, boys thrown from cliffs for aging out of favor. The senator visits sporadically at first, his touches exploratory, his words laced with false affection. "You are my Ganymede," he murmurs, invoking the god's cupbearer, but there's no divinity here, only domination. As weeks turn to months, the descent deepens. Aurelius learns the rhythms of his master's desires. Banquets where he's displayed like a trophy, passed among guests for amusement. Laughter rings as wine flows, but his smiles are masks hiding revulsion. The physical pain is acute, bruises from grips too tight, invasions that leave him bleeding, but the emotional wreckage is worse. Identity fractures. He's no longer Aurelius but my little flower, a name that mocks his wilting spirit. Dreams haunt him, running through fields only to wake in chains. Yet resistance invites whips or worse, castration, a fate befalling many to preserve their boyish allure. Historical records whisper of such atrocities. Suetonius chronicled emperors who mutilated favorites to eternalize their youth. Aurelius clings to fragments of self, reciting childhood prayers in secret, but the empire's weight crushes them. The villa's opulence contrasts the inner decay. Gardens bloom with roses, fountains murmur serenades, but for concubines it's a gilded cage. Jealousy festers among them, rivals vying for the master's attention, knowing favor means survival. Aurelius witnesses a fellow boy, older and fading, sold off to brothels where the horrors multiply. You'll end there too, the villicus sneers. The descent feels endless, each day peeling away layers of humanity until only submission remains. Elevation comes unexpectedly. The senator, seeking imperial favor, gifts Aurelius to the court, a token of loyalty to Emperor Nero whose appetites are legendary. Transferred to the Domus Aurea, Nero's golden palace, Aurelius enters a world of excess that dwarfs his previous hell. Halls glitter with gold leaf, mosaics depict orgies of gods, and the air thrums with music from hidden slaves. But beneath the splendor lurks madness. Nero, the artist emperor, surrounds himself with sycophants and favorites, his whims dictating life and death. Aurelius is inspected like livestock, his resemblance to Nero's late wife Poppaea noted with eerie glee. He could be her twin, Nero declares, sealing Aurelius's fate. Renamed Spurina in twisted homage, he's subjected to transformation. Eunuchs, themselves victims of the blade, castrate him in a ritual of agony, ensuring he remains eternal youth. The pain is indescribable, fire searing through his veins, days of fevered delirium where death seems merciful. Recovered, he's dressed in women's robes, his hair styled in elaborate curls, makeup applied to mimic the dead empress. Nero parades him at banquets, forcing Spurina to sit at his side, whispering endearments meant for ghosts. The court watches in hushed horror, knowing dissent means exile or execution. Aurelius's mind fractures further. Mirrors reflect a stranger, his body alien, his spirit adrift. Nero's affections are volatile, tender one moment, violent the next. Nights in the imperial bedchamber become battlegrounds of desire and rage. Aurelius endures assaults that leave him shattered, his cries drowned by lyres playing outside. Historical accounts, like those from Cassius Dio, paint Nero as a monster who married his male concubine in a public ceremony, complete with dowry and veil, mocking sacred rites. The empire cheers the spectacle, but for Aurelius, it's humiliation incarnate. Whispers of rebellion stir in the provinces, but in the palace, survival means performance. He learns to feign passion, to laugh at Nero's jests, all while his soul screams for release. The descent spirals as Nero's paranoia grows. Favorites fall from grace, poisoned, strangled, or banished. Aurelius witnesses executions in the gardens, bodies fed to beasts for entertainment. His own position teeters, a misplaced glance could end it all. Yet in quiet moments he finds solace in stolen conversations with other concubines, sharing tales of lost homes. Their bond is fragile, born of shared suffering, a faint light in the abyss. But Rome's darkness consumes all, pulling Aurelius deeper into its maw. As Nero's reign unravels, Aurelius clings to precarious favor. Public appearances multiply, processions where he's carried in a litter beside the emperor, crowds chanting for the empress. Inside, revulsion festers like an untreated wound. Nero's games escalate, orgies lasting days where concubines are shared among senators, their bodies mere currency in political games. Aurelius's skin bears scars from whips wielded in play, his mind haunted by faces of those discarded. One night, a fellow boy whispers of escape, only to vanish the next day, tortured confessions leading to his crucifixion in the arena. Fear becomes a constant companion, sharper than any blade. Transition to another emperor's court offers no reprieve. After Nero's suicide, Aurelius is passed like an heirloom to Galba, then Otho, each with their own depravities. Otho, besotted, treats him gently at first, but jealousy ignites violence. Punishments for imagined slights, starvation, isolation, erode what's left of his will. Historical parallels abound. Emperor Titus kept hordes of male concubines, flaunting them in triumphs, while Domitian's favorites endured sadistic games. Aurelius adapts his submission to armor, but cracks appear, nightmares where he's whole again only to wake in chains. The empire's vastness mocks his confinement. Messengers bring news of conquests in Britannia, but Aurelius's world shrinks to bedchambers and baths. Grooming rituals become rituals of erasure. Oils to soften skin, herbs to suppress manhood's remnants. He overhears philosophers debating virtue, irony biting deep as he's reduced to vice's embodiment. Bonds with servants offer fleeting humanity, a kitchen slave smuggling extra food, a guard turning a blind eye to tears. Yet betrayal looms, loyalty is luxury in slavery's grip. Deeper still, the psychological torment peaks. Aurelius questions his existence. Is he boy or woman, human or doll? Nero's ghost lingers in mirrors, Poppaea's shadow eclipsing his identity. Suicidal thoughts whisper seductively, a dagger hidden, a leap from palace walls. But fear of the afterlife, tales of Hades' torments, stays his hand. The descent feels infinite, each layer unveiling new horrors, Rome's glory built on broken bodies like his. Under Vespasian's rule, stability reigns, but for concubines it's illusion. Aurelius, now in his late teens, is relegated to lesser roles, entertaining guests rather than emperors. Aging brings dread, youth's bloom fades, favor wanes. He's sold to a provincial governor, the journey a blur of dusty roads and indifferent escorts. The new household in Syria offers exotic perils. Desert heat, unfamiliar customs, but the core remains, subjugation. The governor, a veteran of wars, demands military precision and pleasure, his scars mirroring Aurelius's invisible ones. Nights blend into endurance tests, body pushed to limits. Whispers of Hadrian reach even here, the traveling emperor whose love for Antinous captivates the empire. Antinous, a Bithynian youth, rises not as slave but beloved, their bond seemingly genuine. Hadrian educates him, tours provinces together, a romance defying norms. Yet envy stirs in Aurelius, even in affection power imbalances. Antinous' drowning in the Nile, accident or sacrifice, leads to deification, cities named Antinopolis, statues everywhere. Hadrian's grief manifests in monuments, but for concubines like Aurelius, it's reminder. Love or lust, they are expendable. In the governor's villa, routines grind on. Banquets feature Aurelius as centerpiece, jugglers and dancers distracting from his hollow eyes. He masters detachment, mind wandering to imagined freedoms, sailing the Mediterranean, vanishing into crowds. But chains are internal now, forged in years of abuse. A rare kindness, a physician treating his wounds, ignites spark of hope, but it's quashed by reality. Escape attempts by others end in recapture, floggings, public spectacles. The emotional weight accumulates like lead. Memories of family fade, replaced by phantoms of past masters. Aurelius contemplates philosophy overheard, Stoics preaching endurance but how to endure the unendurable. His descent mirrors the empire's, surface splendor hiding rot. As stars wheel over Syrian skies, he whispers pleas to forgotten gods, the abyss staring back unyielding. Years pass, Aurelius transferred again, this time to Hadrian's court in his waning days. The emperor, mourning Antinous, seeks distractions, but Aurelius's resemblance to the lost beloved draws unwanted attention. Hadrian's gaze is melancholic, touch is tentative, but power corrupts even grief. Aurelius becomes surrogate, forced to reenact moments from Hadrian's memories, poetry recitals by the Tiber, baths under moonlight. The villa at Tivoli with its canals and grottos, becomes stage for this macabre play. Hadrian's engineers build wonders, but for concubines it's prison of illusions. Jealous courtiers plot, seeing Aurelius as threat. Poisoned whispers lead to isolation, meals tasted for toxins. Hadrian's health fails, his moods swing, affection turning to accusation. Aurelius endures interrogations. Did you love him as I did? Lies become lifeline. Historical echoes resound. Elagabalus, later emperor, would parade male favorites in women's attire, but Hadrian's subtlety masks similar cruelty. Aurelius's body, scarred from castrations and beatings, aches constantly, a testament to endurance. Nights bring visions, Antinous' ghost in dreams, beckoning to the Nile's depths. Suicide tempts again, but survival instinct prevails. He befriends a scribe, learning letters in secret, a rebellion in ink. Words become escape, journaling horrors in hidden scrolls. But discovery looms, punishment swift. The descent intensifies as Hadrian dies, succession chaos erupting. Aurelius is auctioned anew, value diminished by age. Buyers seek novelty, his experience a double-edged sword. The empire's undercurrents, rebellions in Judea, frontier threats, mirror his turmoil. In this vortex, he clings to fragments of self, the abyss ever deepening. Under Antoninus Pius, peace prevails, but for Aurelius, now in his 20s, it's stagnation. Sold to a merchant in Ostia, port life exposes new degradations. Ships unload captives daily, echoing his arrival years ago. The merchant's house overlooks the sea, waves taunting with freedom's illusion. Duties expand, not just bed warmer but entertainer at trade banquets, body traded for deals. Sailors from afar leer, their hands rougher than patricians. Aurelius's mind wanders ports, Alexandria's libraries, Athens' ruins, but chains bind him. Tales of Commodus filter in, the gladiator emperor whose harem includes males wrestled into submission. Commodus's baths become arenas of lust, favorites strangled in play. Aurelius shudders, grateful for distance, but fate twists. The merchant, indebted, gifts him to a visiting legate bound for Rome. Back in the capital, the Colosseum's roars underscore his fragility. The legate's preferences veer sadistic, bindings, implements evoking torture chambers. Pain becomes normalized, dissociation his refuge. Community among concubines offers solace. Clandestine meetings sharing herbs for numbing, stories for solidarity. One recounts Caligula's madness. Boys dressed as gods, sacrificed in whims. Aurelius adds his Nero tales, bonds forging in shared trauma. Yet betrayal strikes. A rival accuses him of plotting, leading to flogging. Scars multiply, mirrors avoided. Emotional nadir hits, questioning God's silence, humanity's cruelty. The descent feels bottomless, each master peeling more layers, exposing raw nerve. Yet a spark endures, defiance and enduring. As Marcus Aurelius ascends, philosopher-emperor preaching virtue, irony bites deep. Aurelius, our concubine, is now in imperial service again, but philosophy offers no salvation. The emperor's stoicism contrasts court indulgences. Favorites persist, veiled in discretion. Our Aurelius serves quietly, body a tool in diplomatic liaisons. Plagues ravage Rome, bodies piling in streets, mirroring his inner decay. He tends sick slaves, finding purpose and compassion, but death claims friends, isolation deepening. Whispers of Verus, co-emperor, and his excesses, Eastern campaigns yielding captive boys for harems. Aurelius witnesses arrivals, wide-eyed youths, cycle repeating. He mentors one, whispering survival tips, but guilt gnaws, perpetuating the system. Nights bring fevered reflections on freedom, manumission rare for concubines, stigma enduring. Physical toll mounts, ailments from abuses, joints aching, youth's facade cracking. Masters discard him to lower ranks, duties menial yet sexual. Emotional armor hardens, but cracks reveal despair, tears in solitude, prayers unanswered. The empire's wars echo his battles, frontiers bleeding as he does. Descent continues, hope flickering like a dying lamp. Transferred to Commodus's court, horror peaks. The emperor, son of Marcus, devolves into tyranny, his gymnasium a den of debauchery. Aurelius, now veteran, trains newcomers, role inverting painfully. Commodus wrestles favorites nude, strength-crushing spirits. Aurelius endures games, chased, captured, violated before crowds. Arenas host private spectacles, lions prowling as threats. Commodus's concubine Marcia watches jealously, her influence deadly. Aurelius navigates intrigues, alliances fragile. Stories of past emperors resurface. Domitian's arrow executions, Elagabalus's sun god orgies with males painted gold. Aurelius's mind frays, hallucinations blending past and present. A failed escape, scaling walls, betrayed by a guard, brings crucifixion threat, commuted to branding. Scar sears soul deeper. Emotional collapse, questioning existence's purpose amid suffering. Yet resilience whispers, survive to witness fall. The abyss yawns widest here, swallowing light. Commodus's assassination brings upheaval. Aurelius sold to Pertinax, brief reign ending in murder. Under Septimius Severus, North African influences mix with Roman cruelties. Aurelius serves in Carthage outposts, heat amplifying misery. Severus's sons, Caracalla and Geta, vie for power, using concubines as pawns. Aurelius witnesses fratricide's aftermath, Caracalla's paranoia purging courts. Baths become execution grounds, steam hiding screams. Aurelius's age affords minor protections, advisor role, but desires persist. Emotional weight, reflecting on lost youth, lives touched. A young concubine's suicide, hanging in quarters, shatters him, guilt overwhelming. Descent evolves, not just personal but systemic, empires rot mirroring his. Hope dims but stories endure, whispered legacies. Under Caracalla madness reigns. The emperor's baths, vast and opulent, host mass orgies where boundaries dissolve. Aurelius, graying, is relegated to overseer, but participation's demanded. Caracalla's edicts grant citizenship universally, irony for slaves untouched. Assassination follows, Aurelius transferred to Macrinus, then Elagabalus, the boy emperor whose excesses eclipse all. Elagabalus marries males, himself the bride, demanding castration from favorites. Aurelius refuses, subtly navigating chaos. The young emperor's dances, painted and perfumed, mock Aurelius's past. Emotional torrent. Pity for Elagabalus, victim too? Descent questions power's corruption. Aging out looms, freedom or death. Manumission whispers but stigma brands. Elagabalus's murder ushers Severus Alexander, milder but unstable. Aurelius, in twilight years, serves as tutor to young concubines, cycles irony complete. He imparts wisdom, endure, remember self. But empire fractures, barbarian incursions, economic collapse. Aurelius plots quiet rebellion, smuggling letters, aiding escapes. Caught, punishment is exile to mines, but age spares him, house arrest instead. Solitude breeds reflection. Life's horrors, fleeting joys and bonds formed. Suicide tempts, but he chooses witness, scribing memoirs in secret. Descent nears end, abyss revealing truths. In final days, under Gordian III, Aurelius fades into obscurity, a forgotten relic. Granted manumission on deathbed whim, freedom tastes bittersweet, body broken, spirit scarred. He wanders Rome's streets, a ghost among living, sharing tales in taverns. The empire endures but cracks foretell fall. Reflecting, he sees male concubines as unsung victims, their suffering foundation of glory. History buries them, but in whispers they persist, a cautionary descent into humanity's dark heart. As sun sets over Tiber, Aurelius finds peace, the abyss conquered by endurance.